Hello friends, welcome to my channel learning all aspects of food safety. So today again I have come up with one informative session on food fraud. Okay. So we will discuss about what is food fraud, what are the different types of food fraud, in which all countries food fraud is very much prevalent, and some of the food fraud cases that has happened, how we can prevent and mitigate food fraud. Okay. So that will be the today's session. So let's go into the PPT. So first we will discuss the definition of food fraud. What is food fraud? So food fraud is nothing but act of purposely altering, misrepresenting, mislabeling, substituting or tampering with any food product at any point from farm to table food supply chain. So we are purposefully altering a food product. How we can alter this food product? Either by we are giving wrong labels, or we are substituting something, or we are replacing something, or we are tampering. Tampering means we are actually interfering with the product with the purpose of causing damage to the product. Okay. So it can either occur in raw materials or in the ingredients which we are using for making the product, or in the final product itself, or maybe in the last part of the product finishing, that is product packaging. From farm to table, in any of this sequence, food fraud can occur. Okay. So we can see in this picture what they are doing. Gel is injected into the prawns so as to increase the weight and make them look more appealing. So this gel, if consumed, we doesn't know if it have any harmful effects or not, because they have not done any studies regarding that. Simply a gel is injected without knowing the consequences. Okay. So these are examples of food fraud. So this is a growing problem in some countries like Asia and Pacific. Okay. So another definition of food fraud: fraudulent and intentional substitution, dilution or addition to raw material or food product, or misrepresentation of the material or product for financial gain. So this is the important part. For what purpose, or what is the motive behind food fraud? That is financial gain. So by increasing its apparent value or reducing the cost of production, they are aiming at financial gain or economical gain. So what they are doing is they are either substituting a higher value ingredient with a lower value ingredient, or they are replacing a higher value ingredient with a lower value ingredient, or they are mixing. That means diluting a higher value ingredient with a lower value ingredient. Okay. So that is what is basically meant by food fraud. Okay. So they are actually, cheating the customers. The customers doesn't know. When they see, okay, the product, suppose if a customer is actually taking a product, he is looking the label, everything is mentioned, he doesn't find anything wrong. But again, there is a chance for mislabeling. So what they are doing is they are not putting the correct content of the items which are added in the food product. They are putting some other items, and they are actually deceiving the customers or the consumers. Okay. So that is what happens in food fraud. Food fraud is a deception of consumers through intentional food adulteration. So what they are doing is actually an intentional food adulteration. It's not unintentional. Okay. But the aim behind is economical gain. Okay. Economically motivated adulteration is another name for food fraud. So here you can see horse meat found in Tesco burgers restaurants. They were selling actually beef burgers, but there was actually a check inspection to the in the restaurants, and it was found that instead of beef it was horse meat. So that actually aroused a lot of issues. Okay. And there was a series of inspections happening in many restaurants, and it was found that instead of beef it was horse meat that was served in the burgers. Okay. So that is actually an food fraud, an example, a good example of food fraud. It was actually called horse meat scandal. Okay. So these are the European countries of origin with most food fraud: Spain, Italy, Netherlands, Greece, Poland. Okay. So types of food fraud, as I told you, dilution. Dilution means we are mixing a high value ingredient with a lower value ingredient. Mislabeling, we are putting up wrong labels. Unapproved enhancement, that means we are enhancing the product with some undeclared or unknown ingredients. Substitution, we are substituting or replacing a higher value ingredient with a lower value ingredient. Concealment, low quality ingredients are hidden, concealed. Okay. Counterfeiting, we are copying the brands. Okay, we are copying the same recipe, same brand name, etc. The one is gray market. So gray market means what? Unauthorized products or unregistered products are reaching the market. Okay, actually the product which is intended for a particular destination is not arriving that destination. Okay, it's reaching wrong hands. So that is gray market. Okay. So these are the types of food fraud. Okay. So again, I have given the explanation for that. Dilution, higher value ingredient mixed with lower value ingredient. So all main aim is what? To lower the cost of production. Okay. Mislabeling, false information is printed. Okay, on the packaging. So the consumer get deceived. Unapproved enhancement, unknown or undeclared materials are added to food product. Substitution, again a higher value ingredient is replaced with another ingredient. Concealment, poor quality ingredients are hidden. Okay. Counterfeiting, a brand name, design or recipe etc. are copied. Gray market, unregistered products are sold. So the product categories which experience the most food fraud. You can see first one fats and oils, second one fish and fish products, third one meat and meat products, fourth one fruits and vegetables, fifth one poultry and poultry products. So what is food adulteration? So you will be just confused. What is the difference between food fraud and food adulteration? Actually, food fraud is an action. It's what we are doing is it's actually an action. That means we are misrepresenting, mislabeling, substituting or diluting a food product. Okay. And actually food adulteration, when we explain it in terms of product. Okay. So that is the difference. We can say a company, a so and so called company was found to do food fraud with regard to adulteration of so and so product. So food fraud we are referring to an action. Food adulteration we are referring to a product. Okay, so it is intentional addition or modification of a food product with inferior, cheaper or non-organic substances so as to increase the volume or weight. Okay, and also can compromise the quality of the product, its nutritional value and even the safety also. Okay, so we doesn't know whether the products, this unknown ingredients or undeclared ingredients which we are adding, we cannot know if it is harmful or not. It's safe for consumption etc. Okay. So this is what food adulteration. You can see it takes the form of following: substituting one product for another, using unapproved additives or enhancement, misrepresenting something. Okay, that is for example the country of origin. Okay, they are giving some other name. Okay, it's not the real country of origin. Okay, misbranding or counterfeiting, again copying the brand, design, recipe etc. Stolen food shipments, then intentional contamination with variety of chemicals, biological agents so as to cause harmful for private and public health. So that is what food adulteration means. And again, this is the top 5 most adulterated food: seafood, meat, poultry, dairy products, herbs, spices, alcoholic beverages. Some of the fraud cases, food fraud cases, you can see in China in 2008, melamine was found in baby food. So melamine is actually a nitrogen containing compound. So why we are adding this to baby food is to give protein, high protein levels. Okay, high protein levels in the food. Even in the testing also, it will show high protein levels in the baby food. But again, this melamine is what? It's harmful when swallowed, inhaled, ingested, etc. Okay. Then zombie frozen meat. What is the zombie frozen meat? Again, zombie frozen meat means 1 lakh tons of chicken, frozen chicken, beef, etc. was smuggled to China. So actually, when we estimate the worth of it, it is nearly $500 million. So like that, different types of, ways food fraud cases are happening here and there. In Russia, palm oil was found in milk. Again, what they do is this people, they will remove the fat. Okay, food frauders, they will remove the fat from the milk and they will in order to increase the quantity of the milk, they add non-dairy fats which includes cost-effective oils, vegetables oils, like which are readily available also, like palm oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, etc. Then in USA, salmonella was found in peanuts. Then honey laundering. So honey laundering means actually the honey which is being sold in many markets, it is actually not the real honey. It usually, the major part of honey is actually composed of the sweeteners, corn syrup, sugar, etc. This process of passing of this impure honey as real honey is called honey laundering. Okay. Then meat from undeclared species. England, beef burgers containing pork and horse meat. That I told you, horse meat scandal. Okay. Then in Italy, illegal organic produce. Okay, illegal organic produce. So organic produce is something, it's actually produced through organic farming. There will be no use of pesticides, no use of fertilizers. But some products, they are actually sold as organic, but actually they are not organic. That is, they are putting false claim that it is organic. Then hydrogen peroxide on seafood. Again, hydrogen peroxide is very toxic. So they are put on seafood so as to, bleach the seafood and make them look much more fresh. So again, they are actually trying to deceive the customers. They are trying to deceive the customers and give an impression that this thing is caught fresh. When we look the fish, it's looks fresh. So we will buy it. Okay. So all these are done in order to for economical gain or for financial gain. They are doing this. Then in Australia, 2013, free range eggs from caged hens. So what is meant by this free range eggs? So actually the eggs which are labeled as free range eggs should come from hens which are allowed to roam outdoors at least for 8 hours a day. But they are taken from caged hens. Caged hens means hens will be actually not allowed to roam around in the nature. They will be confined to a smaller space. Okay, and they will not be able to do their natural behaviors like nesting, dust bathing, etc. So they are actually claiming this. They are free range eggs. They are labeling it as free range eggs, but they are not actually from the roaming hens. It's just from the cage. Then in Mexico, again, meat from undeclared species. So these are different food fraud cases. So this impact is very huge. It's actually risking the public health, the consumer health. Okay, so it has to be taken into consideration. Now, how we can manage this food fraud in food industry, or what all things we can do. So Global Food Safety Initiative highlights the importance of tackling food fraud in its guidance documents and has been increasingly emphasizing its significance in food safety management system. So as we know, HACCP, we have learned in our previous class what is HACCP, hazard analysis of critical control points, and what is basically HACCP? It's a food safety management system. In case of food fraud, what is the system? It is VACP, vulnerability assessment and critical control points. Okay, so HACCP, VACP, TACCP. We should know the difference between these three. Okay, so you can see HACCP, it's for food safety management system to prevent unintentional adulteration and accidental adulteration. While TACCP and VACP, it's for intentional adulteration, but there is difference again. One is for food defense. That means we are protecting the food from malicious threats like terrorism, extortion, etc. While food fraud, it is actually prevention of intentional adulteration, which is economically motivated. There is economical gain behind it. So VACP will typically consist of all these steps. We have to first make a list of ingredients, raw materials which we are using. Then we have to identify the potential forms of fraud that they can be subjected to. Then we have to evaluate the risk. And then we have to implement the control measures, and we have to record and review the findings. Like similarly like HACCP itself. Okay, we have to identify the hazard. We will do a hazard analysis. Then we will find out the critical control points, critical limits. Okay, establish corrective action, verify, etc. Okay, so here also VACP has typically consists of all these things. Okay, so this picture will give you a clear idea. First, we have to create a VACP team. Then we have to define the VACP policy and procedure. We have to gather information. So that is what they have shown in that center, that circle: information, assessment, plan, implementation. It's actually basically a plan, do, check, act cycle. Okay, you can see the first part, that is creating VACP team and defining the VACP policy. In the side they have mentioned it is planning. Okay, then we have to gather information, we have to perform the assessment, we have to create a fraud prevention plan. Then we have to implement the measures. That is the do part. Okay. Then we have to check whether our plan is going working. Okay, whether our measures are correct. Okay, so we have to review, adapt, and if there is any problems, we have to improve also. Okay, so check and act. Okay, so it's basically a plan, do, check, act cycle. Also, we have other tools, okay, such as we can trace food and ingredients. Then we have to keep, purchasing specification. We can keep, much more higher specifications. This all so and so things has to be met for the suppliers. Okay. Then we can also increase the testing and inspection of food. And there are other, testing methods like NIR, near infrared, and also FTNIR, that is Fourier transform near infrared spectroscopy. Also, we have comprehensive lab tests like mass spectrometry, DNA testing, HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography tests are also there in order to detect this food fraud. So, this NIR means what they do is they in a food sample, we know that there will be different components, okay, and this different components, the composition will be different. So, what we do is we will be illuminating this food sample with near infrared light, okay. So, depending upon the difference in composition of different components, they will be either absorbed by the food or it will be reflected or it will be dispersed, okay. So that is a basic principle, okay. So first what they will do is one, they will keep one unaltered sample, okay. Unaltered sample, they will first try to generate a unique fingerprint, so that will be set as benchmark. Then they will be performing this test on similar samples and they will be matching with the fingerprint, that is the benchmark, okay. If there is any mismatching, okay, occurring between the benchmark and the food samples, they can understand if there is any food fraud has happened or not, okay. So this test cannot actually tell what is wrong, okay, but it can actually be a good monitoring activity, okay. It's extremely useful monitoring activity. So I hope you got a clear idea about what is food fraud. So food fraud is nothing but it is actually intentional adulteration which is done for economical gain, okay. While food defense means we are actually protecting the food from malicious threats, okay, like terrorism, extortion, and also sabotage, okay. So we should understand clearly the difference between HACCP, TACCP, and VACCP. Okay. So I hope you got a clear idea about what is meant by food fraud, different types of food fraud, some cases of food fraud that has happened, and how we can mitigate, okay, this food fraud and how we can prevent it. Okay. So if you like this video, please share this with your colleagues and friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and for more informative videos, stay tuned to our channel. Thank you.